Recently, I sold my 2014 Cadillac CTS V Sport and the parking lot head gasket soul system. So those are somebody else's problem now. But that left me with a void. I needed a car that wasn't my Fiero to daily drive. Now, usually when you buy a car, you do a little bit of research, pick a car you like, you determine how much you want to spend on it, and you look into the kind of things that are going to go wrong, you know, things that are going to bite you in the ass later. But I didn't do any of that. In fact, I armed my dad with $4,000 and I told him to buy a car that was turbo, manual, and not red. And for $3,300, he bought me this, a Victory Red 2012 Chevy Sonic lt-ltz with a 1.4 liter turbo and a 6-speed manual. There is just one tiny problem. It was 100 miles away and I was essentially buying it sight unseen, not seen. I just gave him money and let him have at whatever. So this is the car I got, like it or not. And I gotta say, I am absolutely thrilled. These cars have a ton of aftermarket support and there is so many things you can do them to make them way more fun to drive than your standard out-of-the-box Chevy hatchback. So I will admit there are a few things wrong with it, like immediately off the bat. I'm not gonna lie to you, I have already driven this car about 30 or 40 miles, so I'm about halfway home. And immediately upon starting it up cold, it misfired like crazy. It said a check engine light was flashing and the traction control light was on because of the misfire. It doesn't know what to do at that point. And the paint is in not great condition. It's cracking on the hood, and somebody has replaced the mirrors and then did a terrible job wrapping them black. But it's okay, it's cute, it doesn't matter. The car was $3,300. It's got 150,000 miles on it, which to me doesn't really matter. I don't care. I'll drive a car forever. I'll fix anything wrong with it. You've seen me do it in a parking lot at that. Under the hood, there were some pleasant surprises. The coolant reservoir is full and it's not full of stop leak for a change. Although there is a dark area here that might be stop leak. It has a brand new battery. There's what looks like a brand new valve cover on here. Looks like the original coil pack. It's probably why it's misfiring. Those things weren't even good past 80,000 miles, much less double that. A lot of the stuff under the hood is rather clean. Like there's not cracking in any of the boots. The air filter housing's intact, connectors are intact. A lot of the conduit for the wiring is still intact. Like this car is pretty impressively clean. Whoever had it definitely cleaned it before they sold it to me. And that's more than most people do. Inside is more of the same. We got leather heated seats, power sunroof, 6-speed manual. We got a leather wrapped steering wheel, power windows. The only thing this thing doesn't have is like nav. It does unfortunately have a giant crack in the window, which makes me kind of like go cross-eyed while I'm driving, because when you're looking past it, it just creates two of them. It's really hard to see what you're doing or where you're going, so we'll definitely be taking care of that. So yeah, let's take it for a spin. Let's hit the road. Pull back the little thingy on the shifter to get into reverse. That's different for me. I'm used to just sticking it over and forward for a 6-speed like T56 car. The fun thing is I definitely hear a bit of coolant like running around inside the dash. Like there's air in the system somewhere. So it's probably leaking. Like, let's be real, probably leaking. The misfire, it's probably, well, 150,000 mile spark plugs, because who changes the spark plugs out on their piece of crap Sonic? I will say, this thing gets insane gas mileage, like crazy good gas mileage. It's getting 43 miles to the gallon right now. I'm doing 40 in 5th gear, but even when you're driving down the interstate, you're still getting like 40 something miles to the gallon. This has a turbo. The AC works pretty good, but it is only like a 70-degree day, so it's like not that hot out. It's very foggy. The AC is doing a good job of keeping the windows defogged. This huge crack in the windshield is very distracting. I can see why it's illegal to have a crack in your sight like this. I'm definitely gonna get it fixed as soon as possible. Got a sticker in the window that says, "Thank you for your business, 153,000 miles," and right now it's at 151,000 miles, so I'm guessing it should have an oil change in the next 2,000 miles. You know, we'll just milk it for as long as possible. I don't know. The title shows 150,000 miles on it. So whoever owned this car before me has only owned it for like 1,400 miles in like the last year and a half. So unless it was wrecked or dead and they revived it, or it took them a while to revive it, or they were cleaning it up, I don't know what they were doing with it, but it seems like it drives okay right now. I love the little motorcycle inspired gauge pod. I feel like everybody loves that. Like, it's just such a cool little gauge pod. The radio is trash. Like, if we're being real, it's trash. If you pair your phone to it and listen through Bluetooth, you can hear some horrible, like, it destroys the audio quality through the Bluetooth. It's total crap. I have a full system for one of these that I'm gonna install, so get subscribed for that. Believe it or not, I used to have a Sonic. Like, a few years ago, like 2019, I had a gray LT, so a lower trim than this, but it had the 1.4 turbo and the 6-speed, and I did some work to that car, and it was pretty quick. Unfortunately, it was rear-ended and totaled, so I had to just take a payout, and I didn't take all my parts off of it because at that point in time, I couldn't find one that was even remotely close to it to transfer all the parts to, so I figured I was screwed anyway, so I just let the parts go to waste. I took the stereo out of it because that kind of stuff can really just go in anything, but it's going back in one of these. Driving it on the road, it's not really smooth. Like, it feels rough. Like there's a tire problem somewhere. I really want to get some rims and new tires for this, but the tires that are on it have some pretty good life left on them. Unfortunately, if they ride like trash, I'm gonna throw them away, but there's just something unsmooth about it. When you get it up to, like, say 70 miles an hour, it starts to shake a little bit in the steering wheel, like they're not balanced correctly. So something I'm gonna have to look into. The cruise control works great. I'm in a pretty slow area right now. I'm in like a 30 mile an hour area. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. This is Denellen, Florida. The lake I was in front of is a lake called Tiger Lake. And back when I was a kid, there used to be a pier that went out into the lake. And as I grew older, the water receded until eventually the end of the pier, the water was 20 feet away from it. You couldn't even like get close to the water on the pier. So they knocked down the old pier and built a new one. And unfortunately, the water is running away from that one too. The swing set that I was sitting on at the beginning of the video, there's a tree right next to it that my family actually has pictures of us, all my brothers and sisters sitting in that tree. So it's kind of a cool place for me to go back to every now and then. This place hasn't really aged well. It's not hugely desirable. There's a big crowd here that is very resistant to toll roads, so they're never going to build an interstate system or toll road near this place, and so it'll probably never have any more life. All right, we're at the main road. Let's go ahead and test out the 140-ish horsepower of the 1.4 turbo. Ooh. Just missed second, that's fine. The shifter is not very direct, it's very doughboy, but I'm not gonna blame that for my failure into second there. It spun a little bit going into second, which is all the power that I need, right? Of course, just drop it in 6th gear and it'll just cruise. But like I was saying, there's something just not really that smooth about it. It's a little rough, it seems like it's a little noisy in here. I just don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but we're gonna fix it. Fortunately, it's not like an overwhelming noise, because I've been in cars that are like really loud and annoying. This isn't too bad. It's very kind of like cheap tire-ish noise. I can't believe, like, when you're cruising at 55 miles an hour, it's at 1,500 RPM. It has a 365 gear ratio, like final drive in it, in a 4-cylinder, a 1.4 liter 4-cylinder. This thing cruises. And I like the long gearing for when I'm eventually gonna start revving it out further and throwing some more boost at it. I like having the longer gears so that I can just stay and boost longer. It feels better. I don't like having to shift when I'm like in boost. I just wanna sit there and feel the torque. Like, yeah, shifting more often, it's faster. I don't care, the car's not fast, it's a Sonic. There used to be a gas station right there that we used to get pizza from, like takeout pizza from. And they knocked it down. It's not there anymore. If you can't tell from the video footage, it's not there anymore. It's crazy. There's a sign right over there that my dad made like 20 years ago, and it's still there. I'll take a picture of it for you guys. Let's run through second. flat on the floor. Yeah, it's not fast. It's punchy though. It gets the job done. That's all I've got to say about this for right now. If I run into any issues in my next 70 or so miles, you all will know about it. There it is. It made it home with literally no issues at all. Kind of surprising, but unsurprisingly. The car drives great, if I'm being honest. That's for a $3,300 car. Cold AC, cruises, everything seems to work. I think the heated seat might not work, but for the most part, it's a good working car. Things that we need to take care of. I believe there's an axle. Axles are going out. Engine mounts might be going out that cause the axles to go out. It's very rough, like there's something shaking, and might be a tire, might be the axle, might be the engine mount, but it's not smooth. Going over bumps, there's some kind of noise over in that right front area. It seems to grind going into second at high RPM. Again, that might just be a byproduct of the engine mounts. There's a lot of things in here that could be related. It has some kind of misfire on startup, on cold start especially. It really doesn't like to start cold, but doesn't appear to be leaking anything, although the previous owner could have just cleaned all that stuff off, and so in a few 100 miles it could start leaking again. But 100 miles home, it doesn't appear to be leaking anything. The coolant hasn't really changed level at all. It's in great shape. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We have a ton of stuff that I have a ton of stuff that I plan on doing to this car. Like, this thing's going to be a quick little Sonic. So get subscribed for that, and leave a comment, like the video. We'll see you next time. Oh God, I've got to sit in water for this.